gotta fix my kippah, otherwise people will think I'm in a different shul, So we will begin our service this evening. We're in the Sim Shalom. Welcome to CBI. We'll start with Yedid Nefesh, page 14.
Yedid Nefesh, Avarach Aman, Mishok Avdach, Eretz Onach, Yarutz Avdach, Imo'ayal, Yishtachaveh, El Mol Hadarach, Yerabro, Yedidutach, Minofetzu, Bechotam, Adonai, Ziv Haolam, Nafshi Cholan Ahavatach, Ana Enarefana La, Be'arolana Amzivach, Atitazek Metitrapeh, V'haitalach Shifchat Olam, Vatikemu Rachamecha, V'husna B'navach, Ki Zekama Niksof Niksaf, Liro B'tiferet Uzach, Arayim Achmalibi, Chushana Ve'atitalam, Higalena Ofros Avivalai, Etzukat Shelomach, Ta'ir Eretz Mikvodach, Nagila Nismechavach, Maher Ahov Ki Ba'moed V'choneini Ki Me'olam, Yala lai 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 lai, Yala lai 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 lai, Yala lai lai lai, Yala lai, Yala lai lai lai, Yala lai 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 lai, Yala lai 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 lai, Yala lai lai lai, Yala lai, Yala lai lai lai, Yala lai 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 lai, Yala lai 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 lai, Yala lai lai lai, Yala lai, Yala lai lai lai, Yala lai 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 lai, Yala lai 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 lai, Yala lai lai lai,
The first of the Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat, page 15.
Lechu neranena l'Adonai,
Nari haletu yishenu,
Nikad mafana v'toda,
Miron nari alo,
Nikad mafana v'toda, Bizmiron
nari alo, Ki el gadol Adonai, Melech Adol Akol Elohim,
Asher
yado mekere haaretz v'to'afot arim lo.
Asher
yado mekere haaretz v'to'afot arim lo. Asher lo emel yosef v'yosef v'yosef.
Armaim shana akun bedor va'omar am to'en levavim v'hem lo yadu l'rafai asher nishbati v'yapi im yivon el menuchati.
On page 16, we sing together.
Shiru l'Adonai
Shir chada, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai baruch shemo, pasu miyom leyom yeshuato. Saperu v'goyim kevodo, b'kol ha'amim niflatav. Ki gadol Adonai, umol al meyot, norahu, al kol Elohim, hay, ki kol Elohei ha'amim elilim, va'adonai shamayim asa, hod v'hadar lepanav, Oz v'tiferet v'mikdasho, havu l'Adonai bishbekot amim, havu l'Adonai kavod v'hoz, havu l'Adonai keod shemo, se'o mincha, uvo lechatzrotav, kishtachavun l'Adonai mehadrat kodesh, hilu mipanav kol haaretz. Imru v'goyim Adonai malach, chatzikon tevel ba'atim, timot yadinamim b'mesharim, yishmetu hashamayim v'tagel haaretz, yiramaya. Lifnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel v'tzedek, be'amim be'emunato, yalai lalai yalai lalai yalai lalai Page 17, we'll continue silently. Adonai malach takel ha'aretz.
Shama v'tismach Tzion, v'tagelna benot Yehuda, leman mishpatecha Adonai, ki ata Adonai elyon, al kol haaretz, me'od na'aleta al kol Elohim, ohavei Adonai, sinora, shomer nafshot chasidav, miyad rishayim yatzilem, or zaru ala צדיק, ולישראל שמחה. שמחו צדיקים באדוני, והודו לזכר קודשו.
Page 18, we'll sing together.
מזמור שירו לאדוני, שיר חדש, כי נפלאות עשה, הושיע לו ימינו, וזרוע קודשו, הוניע אדוני ישועתו, לעיני הגויים גילה צדקתו, זכר חסדו ואמונתו, לבית ישראל ראו כל אפסי הארץ את ישועת אלוהינו, הריעו לאדוני כל הארץ, פיצו ורננו וזמרו, זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור וכל זמרה. בחצוצרות בקול שופר, הריעו לפני המלך אדוני, רמיים ומלואו, תבל ויושביה, נהרות תמחה וכך, יחד הרים ירננו, לפני אדוני קיבה. נשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, וימים במישרים. יאללה לה 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 לה, יאללה לה 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 לה, יאללה לה 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 לה, יאללה לה 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 לה.
On page 19, let us read responsively. Adonai is sovereign, nations tremble. God is enthroned on high, the earth quivers.
Adonai is great in Zion, exalted over all peoples. Let them praise God, for God is awesome, holy.
A sovereign, mighty rules with a love of justice. You alone bring about equity, ordaining justice and compassion for the people of Jacob.
Exalt Adonai our God. Worship God who is holy.
Moses, Aaron, Samuel, God's chosen ones, called out to Adonai, who answered them in a pillar of cloud.
They zealously strove to obey the divine law, even when God's decrees were beyond their grasp.
You responded to them with compassion, even as you rebuked them for their offenses.
Extol Adonai and bow toward God's holy mountain. Adonai our God is holy.
If you're able, we rise, page 20.
Mizmor leDavid, Havul Adonai b'nelim, Havul Adonai, Kavod v'hozai, Havul Adonai, Kevod shemo yishtachavu Adonai, V'hadrat kodesh, kol Adonai, alamayim Kamorim Adonai Almaim Rabim Kol Adonai Bakoach Hayai Kol Adonai Be'anar Kol Adonai Shover Arazim Shaber Adonai Etarze Halvanon Vayarkidem Kemo Egel Levanon Vesirion Kemo Venei
קודש כל אדוני יחיל מדבר יחיל אדוני מדבר קודש כל אדוני חולל עיינות ויאסוף יערות ובחלום כולו אומר כבוד אדוני למה בול ישב ישב אדוני מלך לעולם אדוני יוס לעמו ייתן אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום You may be seated. On page 21 and 22, we sing Lecha Dodi. We'll do the first two and last two stanzas.
Lecha lecha dodi, lika lika kala, pene pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, lika lika kala, pene pene Shabbat nekabela. La 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 lecha dodi, lika lika kala, pene pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, lika lika kala, pene pene Shabbat nekabela. Shamor zachor beribbur echad Hishmi'anu el ha'meichad Adonai echad u'shmo echad L'shemo tiferet v'liti la 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 Lecha dodi lika lika kala Pnei pnei Shabbat nekabela Lecha lecha dodi Nikat kala pnei pnei Shabbat nekabela Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha Ki im mekora beracha Merosh mikenem nesucha So ma'aseh b'makshevati la 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 Lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei pnei Shabbat nekabela Lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei pnei Shabbat nekabela Yamin usmol tifrotzi Ve'et Adonai taritzi al yadi ish ben partzi V'nismecha v'nagila la 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 Lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei pnei Shabbat nekabela Lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei pnei Shabbat nekabela Bo'im shalom ateret balam Gam besimcha ובצוחלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה לה 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 לך דודי ליקה לקראת קלה פני פני שם בנקבלה לך דודי ליקה לקראת קלה פני פני שבת נקבלה.
May be seated. We'll read the psalm for Shabbat in English and then sing the last few lines. A song for Shabbat. It is good to acclaim Adonai, to sing your praise, exalted God.
To affirm your love each morning and your faithfulness each night, to the music of the lute and the melody of the harp.
Your works, Adonai, make me glad. I sing with joy of your creation.
How vast your works, Adonai. Your designs are beyond our grasp.
The thoughtless cannot comprehend. The foolish cannot fathom this.
The wicked may flourish, springing up like grass, but their doom is sealed, for you are supreme forever.
Your enemies, Adonai, your enemies shall perish. All the wicked shall crumble.
But me you have greatly exalted. I am anointed with fragrant oil. I have seen the downfall of my foes. I have heard the despair of my attackers.
The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. They'll grow tall like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they will thrive in the courts of our God.
They shall bear fruit even in old age. They shall be ever fresh and fragrant, to proclaim Adonai is just. my rock in whom there is no flaw. Tzadika tamar yifrach Hezbollah yizkeh shetulim bebet Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichum od yenuvum meseva Deshenim le'aranim iyo lehagid ki yashar Adonai tzuri belom latavo.
Page 24, the final psalm of Kabbalat Shabbat.
Adonai malach keut lavesh lavesh Adonai otzit hazar aftikon terel baltimot nachon kisacha me'az me'olam ata nasehu neharot tochnai nasehu neharot kolam yisu neharot tochnam mikolot ma'im rabim adirim mishbereyam adir b'marom Adonai edotechanenu me'od levet kanada b'kodesh Adonai leorech yamim.
So, Shabbat Shalom. If we look on page 268, we find there the fourth chapter of Pirkei Avot, and the third Mishnah continues the teachings of Ben Azai. And Ben Azai says, Su Haya Omer, it was a favorite teaching, it was something he liked to say, Al tahi vaz l'chol adam. Don't, ignore, disdain, look down upon anybody. V'al tehei maflig l'chol davar. Don't underestimate, don't underrate the importance of anything. She'en lach adam she'en lo sha'ah. There is no person who does not have his hour. Ve'en la davar she'en lo makom. And there is nothing that doesn't have its place. It sounds pretty self-explanatory. It seems like such a straightforward thing. We should have no need to discuss it. We should just know to treat all people with respect. Doesn't matter if they have the most prominent position in the world or the least prominent position. I saw an article today about children in India who have basically, many of them do, in poor villages, their parents can't necessarily even afford a cell phone. And so if school has only been online, there are children who have lost 2 years of school. And in a population of 1 billion people, that could be a tremendous number of children that have just completely lost out on the last 2 years of education. And the challenge, of course, is once you stop education, it's hard to jump back in. And so there's the fear that this whole group of children may never return to school, and the great loss that there will be for India, but even more for the entire world, of losing that generation. I saw one of these silly listicles of things, 25 things, 25 terrible people who you don't want to have in customer service type things. And a flight attendant wrote in one, she asks somebody, what would they like to drink? And the person in the window ignores. And ignores. They're about to walk away. And the person in the next seat says, she'll have a mineral water. She doesn't speak to the help. Now I can imagine what I would want to do with that mineral water. But the flight attendant is probably nicer than I would be, but, and how many people have said, if you're dating somebody, you're getting to know someone, and you go out to dinner, and they're terrible to the wait staff, that's probably not someone you want to have a relationship with. Because if they're willing to, in public, treat someone with disdain, what are they going to do in private? Is that the kind of person that you want to spend time with? Of course, now I'm showing disdain to that person, but there's a lesson in it. And I think what we see here, what Ben Azai is saying, is really a vital lesson for each and every one of us, and goes back to one of my core teachings. One of the things that inspires me is the opening of our Torah, the opening of the book of Bereshit, of Genesis, where it reminds us that each and every one of us were created B'Tselem Elohim, in the image of God. And that we are to remember that. That's not just pat ourselves on the back, puff up our own chest, but to remind us that every time we interact with someone, and this is not about Jewish or Gentile, this is every human being is in the image of God. And it doesn't matter if they have everything in the world or nothing. We have to remember they are holy. And if we remembered that, then we wouldn't need Ben Hazai to remind us of that. Now, the second part I find particularly interesting, where it's saying she'en lecha adam she'en lo sha'ah. This sounds a lot like Andy Warhol, that everybody gets their 15 minutes of fame. But here I don't think they're talking about fame, because they didn't have that kind of. There was no TV and radio and internet to skyrocket someone into cyberspace and into the visions of millions. But the idea that every single person has an important role to play in this world. And we have to remember that too. And sometimes here I want to look reflexively for a second and say that each and every one of you has to remind yourself that you have an important role to play. And sometimes we think that what we do is not the most important thing. But this teaching of Ben Azai reminds us that everything is important, that all of us are important, that all of us have an important role to play in this world. And if we haven't yet figured it out, well, we'll keep trying, and God willing, soon we'll get there. Shabbat Shalom. So we'll continue in the middle of page 28 with the blessings before Kriyat Shema. And okay, guys out there, I know you're there. I see afterwards you're watching. So I just need 2 more people to come on a Friday night, and then we'll be all set. We're almost there. We're this close. We're this close last week. We're this close the week before. I have faith that next week it's going to be a minyan. And this is not to say I don't care about each and every one of you. I just want 2 more.
Adonai Tzvaot Shema El Chai V'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai Hamariv Haravim
מצוות המשפטים אתה למדת.
כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה, ואהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע
ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושילמת בבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בעיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. והיה בשעת חטאי אשר אנוכי מצווה.
ויאמר נמשל לאמור דבר על בני ישראל ציצית, ציצית, הכנף ודעת אצל בן ציצית, ותותו.
Adonai Elohim emet.
Page 32, emet v'anachos achilinu.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם. משה בני ישראל לכנו שיבה בשמחה רבה, ויאמרו כולם, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נאור בקודש, נולדתי לו תוסף אלה, מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה, זה ענו ויעברו. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני God Israel.
The bottom left of page 33. Creator of peace, compassionate God, guide us to a covenant of peace with all your creatures, birds and bees as well as humanity, a reflection of your image of compassion and peace. Give us strength to help sustain your promised covenant, abolishing blind strife and bloody warfare, so they will no longer devastate the earth, so discord will no longer tear us asunder. Then all that is savage and brutal will vanish, and we shall fear evil no more. Guard our coming and our going, now toward waking, now toward sleep, always within your tranquil shelter. Beloved are you, sovereign of peace, whose embrace encompasses Jerusalem, the people Israel, and all humanity. And I'm thinking of Russia and the Ukraine at the moment, and hoping that they can return to a state of peace and not begin a new war. Page 34, we'll rise for Vishamru, and then we take time for our personal prayer, the Amidah for Shabbat.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. היי 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 ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
Bnai תפתח תפתח הופיע גידי לתך ברוך אתה אדוני. When you finish Shemidah, the Vayechulu is on page 47, and then we'll continue from there to Kiddush for Shabbat on page 49.
ויכולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, כי לא שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. lechalam, Borei pri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddush shalom u'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho me'ahava uvraton hinkilanu, zikaron le'maseh v'reshit, ki hu yom tehilah למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים, כי באנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת, מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת.
So we'll turn to page 51 for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם כהן בגורלנו ככל המונם. ברכנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
המלך על כל הארץ.
ביום
ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד.
ושמו אחד.
We remember this week Paul B. Fogel, Sadie Fine, Rosa Siegel, M. Patrice Friedman, Rosa Shirley Buns, Ethel Jacobs, Leonard Greenberg, Minnie Weitz Walchuk, Martin Genser, William Horowitz, Samuel Weinstein, William Piper, Evelyn Holstein Rosenthal, Harriet Peister, Joseph M. Kleinfeld, Morton Sherman, Milton A. Pels, Stanley Moses Crone Jr., Hannah Lipschultz, Joseph Alpert, Faith Beatrice Mellitz, Max Teichberg, John DeBlock, Nathan Mogalevsky, Lillian Hoffman, Al Gelford, Robert Aronson, Jack Newman, Philip Yosim, Frida Litvak, Anna Fate Jacobs. So Ribono Shel Olam, Elohei Haruchot Lechol Basar, Master of the world, God of the spirit of all flesh, it is revealed and known before you that it is our fervent desire to praise your name and to remember and honor our beloved fathers and mothers, sons and daughters, husbands, wives, partners, brothers, sisters, and all of those whose names we remembered today. We wish to recite the Mourner's Kaddish in the company of a minyan. May our presence here today with our community find favor in your eyes and be accepted and received before you as if we had prayed the Kaddish. May your name, Adonai, be elevated and sanctified everywhere on earth, and may peace reign in all places. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Praise is the name of the one whose glorious sovereignty is forever and ever. Oseh Shalom Yimromav. Hu Ya'aseh Shalom. Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'al Kol Yisvei Tevel V'yimru. Amen. Tomorrow we'll have a minyan. That I know. So just as a reminder, this week we have Talmud. Well, first of all, tomorrow tomorrow is Shabbat. Tomorrow is Parshat Mishpatim. Tomorrow is La Shabbat. Sunday morning, I'll be doing a teaching with our teenagers at 10 o'clock. They're welcome to come here. Over the course of the week, we have Talmud, we have Shared Shelf Book Club, we have Pirkei Avot with Mora Maureen, we have Torah at 10, and then it will be Shabbat once again. In time for Kabbalat Shabbat here with a minyan. You hear that? With a minyan. And a week from Sunday, we will have the Mitzvah Project kickoff at the Daystar Life Center's Edible Garden, with our theme of the year is Every Day is Mitzvah Day. So we're going to kick off that theme with a gathering and learning about how the Life Center's Edible Garden can help provide the necessity of life to our neighbors in need in order to alleviate hunger, homelessness, and hopelessness. And you don't have to know anything about gardening to join us. So, all good things. And then also in the following week, I will be meeting people for coffee in the outside world. So the second week of February, I'm going to try Cocoa Addiction in St. Pete Beach. I've never been there, but the name just sounds really cool. So hopefully they have some outdoor seating and it's nice. And also, later in this month, we'll have a Jews and Brews at Grand Central Brewing on a Wednesday night, so check your calendar for the right day. And also at the end of February, we're going to have a Jews Next Door, and Jamal has volunteered. Jamal and Amanda are going to host us. You have to be closer to my age for that one, the next door, next generation. But we can push it a little bit. But we want to welcome. So with that, we will conclude with the Yigdal. It's, as always, wonderful to be here tonight, and I am so glad that each and every one of you is here to make this evening special.
Yigdal Elohim Chai v'yishtabach
Nimsa v'yened el metzihuto echad v'yen yachid keyichudo nelam v'gam etzof le'achduto en lo demut haguf ve'en haguf lo na'arach elav kedushato Hamol lechol davar asher nivra rishon bereshit v'cheshito Hino Adon Olam v'chol ha'otzar yoreh gedulato u'malchuto shefa nevuato netano el anshei segulato v'tifarto לא קם בישראל כמשה או נביא ומעביד את אמונתו תורת אמת נתן לעמואל היה הנביאו נאמן ביתו לא יכל יפעל ולא יביר דתו לעולמים לזולתו צופה ויודע סתרנו מביט לסוף דבר בקדמתו גומר לאיש חסד כמפעלו נותן השערה כרישתו ישלח לגשמים משיחנו לפתות מקקת ישועתו מתים מיכאל ברוב חסדו ברוך הדיין שם תהילתו מתים מיכאל ברוב חסדו ברוך הדיין שם תהילתו. שבת שלום.